Hi, welcome to Barmy Army fan cams after a really, really disappointing 3-0 loss away at City. It's going to be a difficult one to get any happiness out of these guys. Joining me this evening, Fiona, Ian, Jack, Jake and Shane. Jack, go on. Where did it go wrong?
The referee blew the first whistle.
Not in that match at all, would you say?
No, not at all. I know it was mentioned throughout the watch along that City didn't really have to break that much of a sweat against us. And I think that's true. I think that they pretty much battered us without really having to do that much. The minute the ball goes out for the corner, I was saying to myself, well, this is 1-0 then, because we apparently are unable to defend against set pieces. Second goal, mix up in the penalty area, and Millie heads it straight back to a City player. Mary makes a save, but then the ball just finds its way in. Third goal, again, play ourselves into trouble. We nearly clear it, we can't clear it. We try to play out, we lose the ball, and finish very good. Although I maybe have a question on Mary getting chipped from there, but it was smart from Weir, I think, to see Mary off her line and chip her the way she did. But these are all poor goals to give away, to be honest. So yeah, we just have serious problems defending, and considering we didn't score or create that much, got serious problems attacking as well.
Jake, masters of our own downfall seem to be one of the descriptions that suited us tonight, but started brightly. Let's try and take a positive. We looked okay.
No, we did at first, and the first 10-20 minutes, it just felt like the game felt a bit slow. City were holding the possession, they weren't really going forward. Both teams were sort of finding the feet in the game. It seemed even. It seemed like maybe we could string some attacks, get some momentum going. But no, City controlled the game at their pace all the way through. And even though they weren't peppering the goal early on, they played it at their pace. And it's worked for them. Throughout the first half, they grew into the game, they dominated, and we just didn't match that. Whereas they went forward and they were adventurous, we didn't give anything back to them. So while we were comfortable, sitting back, watching them have the ball, but them not attacking, it felt like the Conte game, the nil in the Conte in parts of that first half, in the sense that neither team really wanted to go for it. And as soon as City went for it, we didn't have anything to come back with. And that's where it started to go wrong for us, when one team showed intent, the other didn't.
Yeah, I think when you talk about intent, Ian, you were doing obviously the Twitter match report for us, match updates. I'm guessing from your perspective, there wasn't a whole heap of good stuff to write about United's play.
No, there really wasn't. And this game's like this that I hate doing these types of updates, because they've got nothing positive to write about. It's, when I do the updates, I don't want to put any downers on players. I don't want to get on their backs. They don't deserve that. But tonight, the only real positive notes I think I can remember was, we had that Hayley Ladd effort in the first half that just went wide of the right-hand post. That lovely little ball over from Jackie to Kristen in the midway through the second half, which, Kristen got her foot onto it, unfortunately too much, and it goes flying over the bar. Just a little softer, and it's 1-1. But otherwise, we didn't create much. And as we said, all 3 City goals come from United mistakes. Don't make those mistakes. City they made 2-3 other chances in the game which weren't really serious. If we're honest, don't make those mistakes, that's 0-0.
So, Shane, is that match an example of why we are now where we are, as in third place in the league, and hopefully holding on for the Champions League, but not title contenders?
Yeah, because if you're challenging for the title, you at least show something in a game like that. In any game, to be fair, I mean, I've said it before, the 2 games this season, both have been away and both have been arguably the 2 games as a United fan you look at on the calendar every season for these fixtures, and both times away from home, we've been dross. And there's probably worse words I could use to describe it, but that feels like the most polite way to do it. But yeah, I mean, I know we said before the season, look, if we finish 3rd, anywhere in that top 3, it is acceptable, it's good for the season, it's an aim. Still think that's the case. This game probably highlights that more of where we are, as you said. Yeah, it's just dejecting, isn't it? Losing a game like that in that manner. We said it in the call, looked like there was no leadership on the pitch. There's only so much Casey can do from the touchline, and towards the end, she looked as dejected as we all do.
Yeah.
There was no answers there. I know we've got injuries. Leah's now injured as well, and there's only so much she can do from the touchline. You need your people on the pitch to grab it by the scruff of the neck, and sadly, there was only a few on the pitch that looked like they had anything about them and gave a damn.
Yeah, well, hold that thought, because I will be asking you for your player of the match. Fiona, 3-0, fair reflection of the score of the match, or does that do either one of us any favours?
I think it flatters City a bit, because like they said, they didn't really create many chances, and they've been a lot more clinical than we ever are. If we were given those chances, we'd probably score 1 of them, maybe 2, but that'd be about it. So yeah, it does flatter them. We didn't look ever like scoring, so I don't think their defence really had to try too much. There were a few battles in there, They did prevent Kristen from getting in some clear-cut chances. She was basically pushed out wide or that kind of thing. But and you could say maybe 3-0 was harsh on us, but we just didn't turn up. So, we could have easily deserved a 6-0 loss with how we've been playing recently. So, yeah, I don't think there's really much else to say on that.
I think you've just caused Shane to have a minor reaction with the mention of that. Jack, one of the most disappointing aspects of that match for me, outside of the performance, outside the results, obviously they're massively disappointing. Leah Galton's gone off with just before the first half finished with a non-contact injury. We're down no Tobin Heath, no Lauren James, no Alessia Russo, although she looks like maybe the international break will come at the right time for her, and possibly without Leah for a while. How big a loss is Leah right now?
Massive. She has been a creative outlet since being at United. In general, she's probably, maybe you can make an argument for certain players at certain times, but I think consistently since we've restarted the women's team, I'd say she's probably been our best player. So it is a massive loss. And all those names that you mentioned in their own way are massive losses. The more you take away, the more it compounds on the team in general. But with that said, we should be good enough to still compete if we have aspirations as we do. And talking about being clinical, when I think about it, the chances that we did have throughout the game, the one from Haley that went wide, and the couple of other chances that Kristen had, and that kind of thing, kind of reminiscent really to the ones that City did actually score from. and one from a corner that bobbled around, one from outside the penalty area, that kind of thing. And that is really the difference. Not making those mistakes, and on the flip side of that, being clinical when you're presented with the chance. And we don't have that at the moment, unfortunately. And it's not about one player or something like that being missing. It's just a general squad that needs upgrading in certain positions.
Following on from that, Ian, yes, we're not clinical. That's now 2.5 games, if Statos will bear me out here. 2.5 games that we've not scored in. Are you more worried about, if I had to ask you for one, more worried about our defence or our attack?
At the moment, I would probably say I'm more concerned about our defence.
Okay.
You can't keep giving the ball away on the edge of your own area and not expect to be punished. I lost count tonight how many times I put out a tweet that said we've given the ball away on the edge of our own area, or we failed to clear something. It was unfortunately, it was a common theme throughout the night. And if you keep doing that against a team like Manchester City, who have a very good forward line, you're going to get punished. And we did. If teams were doing, I would think if that was happening in the other end, okay, we might not be as clinical as a City or a Chelsea at the moment, because yes, the forward line does need improving, but Casey has always built our team on solid defence, keep the back solid, and the rest will kind of look after itself. But tonight, again, it shows that the defence isn't strong enough. It needs, unfortunately, I think it needs an overhaul, a complete overhaul.
Strong words from you there, Ian. Fiona, would it have made a difference if there'd been fans in the stadium, academy, whatever you want to call that place?
I think so, because we'd be shouting them on and urging them on. At times today, we were so slow. If we try and attack, they would be back in their defensive position by that point. You'd be urging them to try or to care about the game, where some of them didn't look like that today at points, and they shouldn't have to rely on fans to motivate them. In the women's game, there often isn't that many fans, so they will have had experience of playing like that. Are they used to us being there? Maybe, but you'd think by now they would have worked on that this season at least. I just think, are we tired? Are we lacking that spark without Tobin? Like, we've grown accustomed to having Tobin on the pitch and shouting and motivating and that kind of thing. Are we missing that? And also, Leah went off today, but at the moment she is our star player, and if it isn't ticking for her, everything seems to fall apart. So having her going off didn't help things, and you'd hope that fans being around may have given them that boost when that kind of happens, because obviously your heads might drop at that point.
Jake, is an international break the best or the worst thing for us now in terms of momentum? Is it great in terms of it gives, because not everybody's been called up for their national squads as well. So it's great. It gives Casey a little bit, it gives some players some time off. So I dare say she'll give them all a few days off if they've not gone international duty. Give them a few days off, and then she's got time with them on the training pitch. Or is it the worst thing, as in just get back out there? What would you say?
Well, I think it's great because if you did go by that theory of get back out there, well, that's what we've done after Sunday. It's not worked well, has it? It's like whatever it works on in training, out the window. So yeah, a few weeks with them for Casey, with the majority of them for Casey, it can only be a positive. A bit more time to maybe get a player or two back from injuries, but that's really being hopeful. We can only hope Leah's isn't too bad, but it didn't look great, as we've all said. So yeah, it's good because it's, usually we complain about international breaks breaking up the play, but Yeah, at the moment, you know, we've last 2 games we've scored none, conceded 5. It's looking very grim, and we've got some key games to come back to. You know, tonight's result makes it very important now and very real that yes, there's a gap between us and Arsenal, but it can be closed. You know, we need to regroup, work on things in training, and just get back to the form that we showed early on in the season, because we can do it. You know, we do have that ability, but it's about performance. It's about wanting to go for every ball, to take a shot at goal, you know, and we can rediscover that. And I think a few weeks can, you know, it can have a positive impact.
So that brings me to, Shane, the next match after the international break would have looked like a fixture we'd have thought, yeah, okay, not a problem. Got Arsenal not long after. That's a nice game to come back to. Suddenly it's a massive game now.
Yeah. I mean, I always bring this back to at the end of last year when we were saying we need to start the year against what should have been Everton, ended up being Chelsea, but every game was a must-win game. When you're in and around the top of the table, every game is a must-win game. You can't let up, especially in this league. It's a much shorter league than we're certainly used to over the years with the Premier League, following the men's team, where, do you know what, 3 losses. Oh, so I was plenty of time to recover that. Not in this one. Not in this one. 3 losses, that might mean second is the most you're ever going to get. So the next game, doesn't matter who the opposition is, where they are in the league, what their form is, it's a must win. And the performance has to go with that win as well now. This can't be a win where, we just get by. It's a gritty win. It's an ugly win, as we've said in the past, where we've managed to pull one out of the bag. This has to be, go and show what you're about and prove that, again, this was a one-off. It's too many one-offs in a season, but especially if you want to be thinking about titles and, you know, challenging up at the top, but you have to go out and prove it now, because anything less than the performance and the win ain't good enough.
I think we all agree with what you're saying, but right now we just want the result. Last question to you all. Thankfully, actually, unlike last week, we've got a few contenders for this one. Player of the match, one name, Ian.
It's a tough one. It's between Honor and Jackie for me, but I think I'll just give it to Honor.
Okay, Jack.
I'll give it to Jackie.
Okay, one each. Jake.
Look, she showed intent from start to finish. Honor.
Ooh, I had a feeling you were setting up to say Jackie there. Fiona.
I think I'll have to go Jackie.
Shane, you got the casting vote, or you could choose somebody completely different.
Yeah, I think I'll give it Honor.
Honor wins player of the match. Thank you all very much for joining me on this rather desultory evening. Lovely to have your company. Hopefully next time we can celebrate a little bit more. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, we'll see you again soon. Cheers. Take care. Bye-bye.